Welcome to Nightmares on Film's review of The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. In this final part of a series of 4, we'll conclude with a deeper analysis of the meaning of the film. After that, we'll answer the most important question of all: how scary is it? We'll drop some timestamps in the description so you can jump straight to the part you're interested in. At Nightmares on Film, we explore the history of scary cinema, looking at classic films to see how they were made, why they're interesting or important, and most of all, how scary they are. If you haven't seen the film before, don't worry, we'll try not to mention any big spoilers. Check out our website at www.nightmaresonfilm.com for lots more reviews and other surprises too. No discussion of The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari would be complete without mention of the influential, yet controversial, book From Caligari to Hitler, 1947, written by German film critic Siegfried Kracauer. In this book, Kracauer argued that the film attempted to warn audiences of the German tendency to blindly follow authority, a behavior which would facilitate the rise of the Nazis in the 30s and the outbreak of the apocalyptic Second World War of the 40s. Certain points made by Kracauer have been disproven, others are hotly debated, yet many are still accepted. His seminal work was an early example of a deeper critical analysis examining the subtextual undercurrents present in a film, a practice commonplace today, and one we engage in here at Nightmares on Film on a regular basis. Some critics postulate that the character of Caligari is emblematic of the tyrannical government machine that sends innocent citizens to war, while Cesare is representative of the common man who must serve and die when called upon to do so by that government. The mind control that Caligari employs is like the brainwashing propaganda of the state that convinces innocent people to take up arms and kill others for a cause that they little understand. In Kracauer's words, an unlimited authority that idolizes power as such and, to satisfy its lust for domination, ruthlessly violates all human rights and values. In like manner, all tyrannical dictatorships throughout history have allowed or encouraged despicable acts of all kinds as long as they're done with the best interests of the state in mind. Not only is Caligari sinister, he's also possibly insane, a remark on the type of people pulling the levers of government. Even Caligari isn't all-powerful. He must submit to the will of the bureaucratic clerk who sits on an unnaturally high chair, visually representative of his superiority, and is too busy to be bothered with the doctor's trivial requests. The Third Reich operated the same way, with Hitler often preoccupied with his own matters and leaving his underlings free to solve problems in whatever, often sadistic, way they wished. Staircases are also symbolic of layers of authority, with the police station and the asylum director's office being located up long flights of stairs. Kracauer noted that these authoritarian figures are starkly contrasted by chaotic elements like the carnival with its off-kilter merry-go-round, raucous crowds, and monkey business. Not to mention the film's wide variety of twisted and jumbled environments. The individual is left with a choice between chaos and rigid authoritarianism. In Kracauer's words, Caligari exposes the soul wavering between tyranny and chaos, and facing a desperate situation. Any escape from tyranny seems to throw it into a state of utter confusion. The same paradox is often faced by people living inside dictatorships, who passively follow instructions rather than rising up, out of fear that without the dictator, anarchy will ensue. Speaking of destabilization, the film also carries a theme of sanity versus insanity, and duality of personality within unstable individuals. The very environment is a surreal dreamscape, possibly a product of the imagination of a madman. The stark contrast between light and shadow visually represents the forces of good and evil doing battle with one another in the minds of the characters. Even the fact that the film was shot entirely on studio sets causes it to feel confined and unnatural, like there's no escape from the insanity no matter where you turn. Another film scholar, John D. Barlow, notes that in the expressionist view, the ultimate perception of reality will appear distorted and insane to the healthy and practical mind. In the end, we can't be entirely sure who is sane and who is not, leaving the viewer to ponder the possibilities. Leaving the film without a nice, neat resolution is the final trick that the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari plays on its audience. Literally volumes have been written about the deeper meanings behind this film. It's quite possibly the most widely discussed film ever. We don't want to give away too much here. If you've seen the film already and you're curious to know more, we encourage you to do some more digging on your own. But don't get too obsessed. As with all old movies, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari must be understood in the context of the time it was made. In 1920, nobody had ever seen anything like this. Sure, there were a few short, scary films before this, and some weird ones, but this was arguably the first full-length feature that set out with the express purpose of scaring an audience. Some of the content was pretty scary, too. The shadow on the wall of the killer's knife plunging into his victim isn't much less intense than the shower scene of Psycho from 4 decades later. The sadistic look on the face of Cesare as he strangles a victim is pure nightmare fuel. Beneath the overtly scary scenes is a brooding tension and terror caused by the sinister mind of Dr. Caligari. The viewer knows that sooner or later something bad is going to happen, and the resulting tension is palpable. This was a brand new feeling in cinema at the time. The subtle commentary about the power of authority gives this film an intriguing subtext that's just as relevant today as in 1920. People with lots of power still make the less powerful into their pawns in global games of chess in modern times, just as they did back then. Mind-controlling propaganda and coercive marketing is targeting all of us every day, and it takes a critical eye and a skeptical mind to avoid its influence. With all this understood, most modern viewers won't have much trouble watching this one. The runtime of the film is only about an hour and 15 minutes, so it's an easy watch. Be aware that because it's a silent film, you'll need to read the title cards when they appear in order to understand some of what's going on. Those who have trouble reading subtitles on screen may have an issue there. There's no gore, no nudity, no strong language, and nothing particularly scary by today's standards. It's more weird and surreal than outright frightening. But the precedents set here would influence generations of future filmmakers, particularly in the horror genre, and in turn, the films those people made are among the best scary movies ever. Anyone who considers themselves a fan of scary movies should definitely see this film at least once. It's one of the most important and influential horror films of all time, often imitated but never duplicated. Seeing this one will help you to better understand so much of what you see in later classics of the genre, and it's an entertaining film in its own right. We give this film a nightmare rating of 2 out of 5. You might go insane after you watch this one. Thanks for watching. You can help us celebrate scary cinema by liking and commenting on the video. If you like what you see so far, why not subscribe to the channel and tap the bell icon so you'll get notified whenever we release a new video. On our website, www.nightmaresonfilm.com, you'll find written versions of all our film reviews, including many not yet available on our YouTube channel. If you poke around in there, you may discover some other surprises too.